Alright, I am back for more D-tier challenge. Today we're doing Pluto. Originally I had planned to do, I think, 10 nodes on the planet, but I noticed my commentary per planet was kind of starting to run short, and most of what we'd be doing here is nothing you haven't seen me do already. So instead I figured I would trim this down to just 5 important nodes. So we're going to do a spy, a rescue, a sabotage, an interception, and the ambulance boss fight, which is one of my favorite boss fights in Warframe. So let's go! No speech from Lotus? Oh, so,
Tenno,
there
you are
she
here
is.
to infiltrate data vaults and retrieve highly sensitive enemy information.
Well, since I started talking about Eximus stuff, DE has already changed 2 of the big issues that I had with Eximus units. One of those being
Move and strike. We have to win this.
population density problems for
Keep
them
going. Nobody knows you're here.
in
Tenno, be on the lookout
survival
for increased
missions.
security measures.
The other one
The enemy
being
would rather
how
destroy their data
the
than let
leech
it
and
get into
energy
our
leech
hands.
enemies didn't have line of sight restrictions on their abilities, which that has just recently been fixed in a hotfix. Someone sent me a picture of red text commenting on it, which
Excellent
was
work. A
delightful.
clean extraction with no alarms.
So it sounds like DE has been listening to player feedback on the challenge level of Eximus units and some of the things that can be done to improve them. So far, these are both kind of minor tweaks, which might disappoint some people, but I'm going to say this is actually a positive sign, because it means that they are pushing out the changes that they are confident in right away, the ones that are, obvious no-brainers, like, okay, maybe we don't need to have that many of these guys in endless missions. We can tone that down a bit. Or like with the line of sight thing, the goal of the new Eximus abilities was to...
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Oh, I did not make that jump.
My warframe is strong.
Oh, shoot.
Alarms have been triggered. You need to retrieve that data before the data destruction is complete.
Well, I botched that, that's fine. And the other one being the line of sight thing, with the whole goal of the Eximus unit's new
The data is
abilities
still intact.
was to improve player engagement, to get us to respond to them more, And if we can see what they're doing, we're more likely to engage with them and make the content more interesting. And that's fantastic. I'm very happy about that. Now, as for the actual gameplay mechanical issues that people have, I am still working on content for that. It's gonna be a bit, because that might actually have to be a full scripted video. And so far, the videos that I've done on the topic have been very off the cuff or quick.
You're nearing the console. Trigger the alarms now, and they will start destroying the data.
So, like... Oh, whoops. Well, that's fine. We'll just... do those. Okay. I've done an opinion piece, which is partially backed up by played evidence that I also uploaded.
Most cunning founder,
But, like,
with my life I protect
in
your
fairness,
sacred crowns.
that was an opinion piece. It was
Alarms. Data
strongly
destruction is
emotional, and it
imminent.
was recorded
You need to
right
hurry.
after having done the
Data
bits
integrity
that I had
verified. Retrieval was successful.
been
We
working
have
on.
everything we came for. Get to extraction.
So next I have to do more focused, more analytical content, and that means more testing, that means more recording and research, that means to make sure that I'm not all over the place, having a nice script so that I have at least some note cards to follow. Alright, spy mission down.
This is a rescue mission. We need to find and liberate the hostage before any harm comes to them.
Alright, I really do enjoy this kind of snowy tile set. So we're working on the rescue now. What else was I saying about Eximus units? The balance
There's no telling
for
what
them
the captors are doing to our rescue target.
is tricky
We need to find the
because
holding cell immediately.
for veteran players, somebody set off their car alarm outside my apartment. For veteran players, they don't even notice that they're. I mean, most players with most players with high levels of experience and lots of content under their belt and lots of gear and shit, especially players who were already min-maxing for viral, they don't even notice that there's
You
a
are
difference.
approaching the holding area. Careful. If the wardens detect you, they will surely initiate the execution sequence. Bypass complete. You may proceed.
And apparently, it's really not much of an issue for the very low-level content. So, like,
The hostage is almost out of time. Hurry.
this creates some difficulties in working out the balance because they need to make sure that whatever they change,
The captive
they need to
will
know
be in one
where
of
in the
these
middle
cells.
to change
Search
it
them.
and how much to change it. For me, I still think some of the biggest issues are the needlessly complex and confusing rules about how overguard shields work. I'm already going to address that in one of my upcoming videos where I'm going to point out that I misunderstood the instructions on how overguard
Prisoner
works because
located.
I thought
We
that
need to get them back to
overguard
command in
made
one
them
piece.
immune to
Find
fire
your way
procs
to the
or heat
exits,
procs.
And don't leave the
And
subject behind.
you know why that's confusing? Because it's true.
Got a weapon for me?
They are
Got
immune
some
to heat
scores
procs,
settle.
but not all of them. They are immune to the panic effect that getting caught on fire causes, but they can still take damage from heat effects. And I've already tested this, and the heat damage over time is sufficiently powerful that you can use it in place of viral. It's not as good as viral, but it's still good. So, like, that's I just heard. Hang on, let's go ahead and knock this mission out since we're almost to extraction. But you know, rescue mission, no problem.
I need you to sabotage this ship's reactor. The reactor is a complex system. Start by removing the coolant cells. My intel suggests there are rich enemy supply caches in the area, but I am unable to pinpoint their exact location. Search them out if you are willing to shoulder the added risk.
Alright, so just doing a sabotage now. Ooh. And while I've been working on the research for why the
The
Eximus
reactor
units
is
are a
going
problem
into
for some of my
stasis.
friends,
Now is your chance to complete this sabotage.
part
Use
of what I
whatever
was
you
really
can to
coming
make
up
sure it
against
never
was
works again.
that the CC
A coolant
immunity
cell has been
crap
extracted.
that is part of the overguard shield It makes sense
Fuel
because
cell
of how
reinserted.
all or
When the
nothing
reactor is restarted, this will
a lot of
trigger
our
a meltdown.
CC abilities are, which is obnoxious by itself. But also,
Destroy the fuel injectors.
it holds back to another design philosophy problem that DE repeatedly runs
The
into.
reactor has gone critical.
With
Get to extraction immediately.
they
Beware, Tenno. This ship is experiencing reduced gravity and magnetic anomalies.
DE gives Warframe players, all sorts of crazy abilities and powers. But then they realize that we have all sorts of crazy abilities and powers, and add mechanic after mechanic and reason after reason for why, when, or where we can't use them. It's I'm gonna call back on my D&D gaming experience again now as a GM. Anyone who's played D&D, you ever get like a really... Oh shoot, well we'll cover this in the next episode. Your next mission, I mean.
These radio towers carry top-secret interplanetary communications. You are going to capture the towers and decode incoming messages.
Alright, you ever be in a D&D game where where a character gets just a really great power, like, oh man, I have this wonderful just undead slaying ability where, like, anytime we fight zombies, those zombies are wrecked, and we're gonna win, and we're gonna win hard, Or maybe you get an ability or a sword or some mechanic that's just so powerful, and like you're super excited to use it. But the GM's like, oh man, I gave my players this power, now I have to find ways to rearrange the game so that they can't use the ability.
You have captured a radio tower.
Like, that's antagonistic GMing, and it's... Why did you do
You
that
have
then?
lost control of a tower.
Maybe don't do that, is sort of the issue we have there.
Tower captured. Beginning stream decode now.
And this is a classic problem in D&D of GMs who like, oh no, I gave my players this ability, now I have to find out reasons why they can't use it.
This tower is ours now.
This is an age-old problem. And the 100% wrong solution is to take the power away. That's not... It's very rarely,
We are in total control.
very
Keep
rarely
fighting.
is it a good idea to just
The enemy
nerf
have
or
captured a
remove
tower.
the reward that players worked for. And the problem that we see is the DE's first response to this stuff, because it's faster, is to on-off switch things. That's why we have enemy types like this, the one Corpus guy on roller skates that flies
Keep it up.
around, who
The enemy
disables
have taken
individual
a tower.
abilities, and now
You must
some of
recapture it.
the acolytes, I believe, do that also. Or why we have the nullifier bubble characters, again Corpus, that just turn off abilities. Or now we have.
Tower lost.
To be fair, this next one is kind of a mixed purpose thing, but the new Grenier enemy on the Zaramon tile set that throws spears and creates a little AoE bubble that knocks you out of your Warframe. This one I'm giving a special exemption to because part of the reason that this exists is to
We have lost
encourage
control of
more
a tower.
operator play
Tower
rather than
captured.
just
Beginning
using them
stream
for
decode
mobility and
now.
that sort of thing. And to be fair, that's actually one of the cooler things, because the difference between that and another nullifier is you still have abilities.
We have control of all
You're
four
being
towers.
directed to use different character abilities. Now you're pushed into a situation where you use your operator instead of your Warframe. Your abilities aren't being taken away. You're giving some situationality to that, and it's also it does reinforce the goal of making the operator play happen more. That's why that's a more interesting version of the other two. But again, it still follows the same design philosophy of the best way to deal with these powers is to turn them off. And that's what Overguard is. Overguard is, okay, well, players have abilities that we don't like, so the best way to manage Overguard is to just make these characters immune to all of those abilities. And like, yeah, you can do that. It doesn't feel good for the players, and it doesn't make them seem more challenging or more interesting. So, like,
Message decoded. Leave none alive. Clear out the remaining enemy forces.
So I want to talk about all of that in a larger scripted video. Because I think that understanding that problem, understanding that design choice, or solution strategy, I suppose, will help us understand why we got to that situation and what
more data is being broadcasted.
alternatives might be available.
Are you willing to risk going back into the field? Try and capture another signal. Be careful, though. The enemy has surely...
Frogback, you're nothing if not predictable. I bet your advisors begged you to hide Animus somewhere defensible and undetectable. But you had to show it off, didn't you? As an investor, I must say, I don't approve.
Blast. You're the shadow investor? You ingrate. You could have had everything. And now you seek to ruin your mentor's hard work?
Your hard work? I didn't design Animo to be a weapon, and I would have never disabled its governor.
You always were clever, but you never did have vision.
On the contrary, I envision this whole venture will come crashing down around you.
Each Tenno attack on my ambulance has been logged, analyzed, and refactored from our Animo project. You've brought these Tenno to their deaths. A terrible miscalculation. You've learned nothing from me.
Oh, I've learned one thing back. Never underestimate the competition.
I really love the dialogue between these two. This is what makes Ergo Glass such a fun character.
Quick, hack that disabled ambulance and upload this protocol.
And now starts one of my favorite boss fights. No, I think this is definitely my favorite boss fight, not one of, in all of Warframe. It's the one most people hate. What happened to my Helios? Or my... not Helios, my Taxon, whatever. Dang, thing did not survive very long, huh? Well, being without enemy radar is going to make this a bit harder on me.
Here comes the dropship with a special delivery. I haven't felt this good since they rebuilt my larynx.
What happened? When did that get hacked?
Thanks to your investment, I can keep throwing amulets at the Tenno all day.
They're going to try and fix the hacked ambulance. Don't let them. It's crucial that Ben takes it back onto his ship as is.
Wasn't that dialogue supposed to happen earlier?
Finish the job while you had the chance. That ambulance will live to fight another day.
Yeah, you cannot jump through that as quickly as you think you can. Whoops, there we go. Ah! Of course, it's gonna pick the worst place for me to defend.
Fire artillery! Scatter those stainless steel
Here we go.
rats!
This is one of the things that I think is so cool about this mission, is dodging the ship's artillery weapons. Which, honestly, when I've done this on public, players do not understand that if you see a bad area, you don't stand in it. And that seems to be the biggest reason people get upset about this. It's like, come on man, don't stand in the bad is just standard low... It's MMO 101 of like, if you see a...
Ship response times are second to none, ensuring prompt delivery.
What?
in mission.
Oh, he got up there and I couldn't see him? That's... Where'd it go? There we go. I gotta say this is harder because I'm not using quality gear. Normally I'd have my arc plasma or something. Also having a dead companion is not helping me.
Blast. How are these Tenno going to finish me when they can't even end what they have begun?
Alright. Well, we're still up. We're still doing good so far.
Everything I own, I built. Worked my way to the top of the board from nothing. You create nothing. You earn nothing. You deserve nothing.
Really hoping that would do more damage. Oh man, I'm out of ammo? Okay, well, yeah, my gear is
Get the team down there to
definitely
pick that ambulance up.
starting to
Don't
be
let
a
her
problem.
go to waste. Fire the artillery!
Everybody get upset. See, being shot at by a capital ship like that, that's just cool. Jesus, I cannot be constantly reloading. Okay. So... these guys are only level 25, too. I'm dealing with worse stuff than this. Kind of a surprise that this is where my gear is starting to fail me. I guess it's just the time pressure. I'm glad I worked up the Vipers, though. Being able to switch to them and use them in the moment is a huge benefit.
You could have rebuilt the system, Fraud. Instead, you've made death machines. What have they done for you?
Alright, one more to go. So,
You made your fortune on the backs of others, Fraud. Your hard work is their hard work. You let the burdens rain down, while the credits trickle up.
there are several things that make this...
All we need is one more ambulance to be returned to the drop ship.
There are several things that make this mission so memorable to me. There we go. One is the personality behind
Fire artillery. Scatter those stainless steel rats.
Beck and oh, keep moving.
Enemies! Prepare to be hammered in your
Oh man, you could not have picked a better time to show up, Joey.
Finally! Just us! Those others were just holding me back.
I am honestly too distracted to really comment properly on this, so I'm going to wait until they've captured at least one of these and then be on my way back to discussing what's so cool about this mission. Is that in there? No, it's not. There we go. No? Oh. As long as one of those were hacked. Yep, we're good.
You're done, Fraud.
Oh.
This ends now.
So what I like about this is like the dynamic mix of objectives of having to fight a boss that is unique, having to keep it down.
They will not win. They've not earned it.
That's fun.
I know this for certain, Fraud. You've earned this. I'm sorry, Animal. Execute the protocol.
What was that? My ship? Ah! Eject the bridge module. Eject it now.
God, yeah.
I can hear the survivors screaming in terror. Hilarious.
Animal, once my pride and joy has been destroyed. I abandoned the project when I fled the Corpus. I should have known it was too powerful to leave in their hands. The Ambulance proxies still exist, and they are no doubt formidable. But the threat of their superintelligence is now gone. Thank you, Tenno.
Ergoglass role in all this, his rivalry with Fraudback, the personality on display, the way these two have their
Nice work taking
philosophies
down the
full
VIP.
on site.
Now get to
These
extraction.
are fun. These are all great things. The way that what you're doing on the ground ties into larger impacts of a battle really makes me feel like that's more of what we should be seeing with the Tenno. Like the Raptor boss fight where you drop nukes down the tube to blow up the manufacturing processes. That's kind of close to the same sort of thing that I would like to see more of. Of like, yes, you do a challenging fight, but it's not the fight that's dangerous. It's the thing that you got away with while you were fighting. I feel like that plays into the sort of ninja aesthetic and attitude and strategist angle of the Tenno and the Warframes. And that's fun. This mission particularly does a lot of cool things. Having the AoE effects that you get alerted to try to avoid being in when the damage hits. Again, fun mechanic, keeps you mobile, keeps you thinking about your environment. The fact that the ambulances, get knocked down wherever you shot them down means you defend from that position. Again, it makes a very dynamic experience of the mission, and I love all of those things about this. It's also why I'm really happy with the Eximus enemies having those sort of telegraphed AoE attacks to try and make the stay out of the bad mechanics from this boss fight a larger component of Warframe as a whole, which I think will make gameplay much more interesting. Like this fight, I had fun the whole way through this because I was constantly having to move and think and do, and that's what I like out of this game. So hopefully you get more of that.
They won't be bothering us anymore.